Hello, I'm Paul O'Kelly, editor of dublinchampion.ie, and here are today's Irish papers for Saturday, August the 24th, 2024. Sometimes, as we've seen, big stories get buried. Today there's a huge one about computer hackers who have already, according to last night's RTE News, squeezed tens of millions in ransom, tapping 1/3 of Irish businesses. Now, I mention RTE because if you were relying on some of today's papers, you wouldn't know a thing. The story in the Sun, in fairness, is detailed and takes up nearly all of page 2. If I were them, I'd try bumping the tedious Germain Genus to page 94 and putting this one on the cover. But the Sun does a lot better than the broadsheets, who have either ignored this threat or buried it in the business pages, where it's not even that big. It hides below the fold in 2 short columns inside the Irish Times, and is very hard to find elsewhere. Mark my words, editors, if 1/3 of Irish businesses are paying ransom money to hackers now, it'll be nearly everyone next year. You need stories and you need editorials pestering the Gardaí and the government to fix it. Failing that, we'll all be robbed blind, and we might even have to pull the PC plug just to survive. There's still old-fashioned crime, of course, and who runs the capital city's drugs business? The Irish Daily Star tells us that it used to be the Kinahan cartel's Liam Byrne, but with Byrne behind bars, rival Brian Rattigan has stepped into the breach. King Rat, as reporter Michael O'Toole calls him, is now a power in the south side, particularly Dublin 12. The same story takes up page 5 in the Mirror, with the more muted claim that Liam Byrne has lost just some of his former territory. And treated just like a criminal with 6 months in the joy is Enoch Burke. He's back outside his old school, and there was quite a bit of cruel mockery in yesterday's papers, with schoolboy puns about his biblical first name and sarky comments about his stand on matters transgender. Much more measured are today's stories in the Mirror and the Irish Daily Star. In both papers, Nicola Donnelly allows Mr. Burke to say his piece and defend his religious beliefs. Every time I hear of another closure, my heart drops. Yes, it's the dreaded 13.5% VAT rate, given the full treatment on pages 22 and 23 of the Irish Daily Mail. That quote is from Adrian Cummins of the Restaurant Association, and journalist Jenny Friel brings us all over Dublin and Cork too to chart the demise of one fine dining place after another. Page 12 of the same paper polls the public, and they've got the message with fully 75% expressing worry that big chains will take over small cafes. The only one not getting the memo, it seems, is the man in Leinster House, currently writing a budget which, we are told, will keep the VAT rate sky high and ensure that half of Irish hospitality will close down for good. The papers vie with each other to pay proper tribute to a great writer. Nell McCafferty's funeral is beautifully covered, with photos in most of the papers, including full pages in the Mirror, the Mail, and the Belfast-based Irish Weekend News, and spreads in both the Herald and the Independent. Speaking of great writers, where is Miriam Lord in the Irish Times? I hope she's just on holiday. In her absence, the Times is, with only the immortal Ross O'Carroll Kelly in the magazine raising a smile. He's turned Protestant, by the way. Their schools, complete with swimming pools, are so much better, don't you know? The Weekend Irish News has an interesting angle on puberty blockers. All the rage until the backlash began, and they were finally prohibited for use in children. But surprisingly, according to the news, the drug's last remaining champions are in the Alliance Party. Both the news and a page lead in the Irish Daily Mail reveals a U-turn by Sinn Féin, whose members were speaking in favour of blockers for teens as recently as last month. Finally, in the video version later on, I'll be playing a little game of Snap. Pages 2 and 3 in the Herald, pages 2 and 3 in the Indo. Page 7 in the Herald, page 5 in the Indo. Page 6 in the Herald, page 6 in the Indo. Snap, snap, and snap. Identical stories, even the same layout, photos and quotes. Fine, it saves time and money. But at this stage, the Herald, at a slimmed down 40 pages and no longer Ireland's only evening paper, struggles to maintain its identity. Editors, sharpen your pencils. Readers, Open your wallets, go on, keep journalism and pluralism alive. Go out and buy yourself a daily newspaper.